All right. So we're back and we want to kind of discuss developing the SBA, right? So the first thing that we want to identify, and these things could change as we go along, right? What are the functional and non-functional requirements of my system? Well, the first thing I need to know is what my system is, what it's supposed to do. Okay, so um, let's say for instance, I'm just brainstorming here. And let's say for instance, we want to have um, some software for a football club, right? And we're thinking about the software for the football club. We have to give a scenario. So you have to write, let's say, 100 to 150 words, right? Providing a description, right, of the context in which this software is being written. I'm not going to do it now. Let's just say we have a football club. It was founded 20 years ago. The manager brought up, young and upcoming youths from the Couva area. Um, he wanted to have a way to positively impact the youth. So the football club was started. We Over the years, he decided that he wanted to have a more manageable way to store information on his players because he got more serious about keeping statistics on his players and also about keeping information on payments about his players, etc. So he wants to track players' development on a monthly basis. Okay. And maybe also keep track of finances. So what was the functional things I said inside of there? Okay, so the purpose, the main purpose or the main idea, yeah, is to keep track of players' skills, right, as they develop, and also we want to keep track of players, um, keep track of players' payments, okay, on a monthly basis. Right? And this is way bigger than any SBA might need to be. You might actually only need to do one of these two things. So if you come to me with an SBA like this, I might say, this seems like a lot. Because keeping track of player skills is one thing. It could be its own project, and keeping track of players' payments on a monthly basis could be another project. Right? So we could actually split these in two and focus on one. Because I could see one of these being enough to have the fulfillment of utilizing file input output. You could have 5 functions. You could have, um, a struct array being used here. So we want to keep track of the player's payments. Maybe I tell you, this is plenty for now. I'm telling you. If it is that you do this quickly, then we could come back and do this. All right. So let's keep track of players' payments on a monthly basis. What are the functional requirements of this program? Well, I should be able to add a player. I should be able to edit, right, a player's information, right, like name, date of birth, etc. What else should I be able to do? I should be able to add a payment for a player, okay, I should be able to do what? Calculate calculate outstanding balance for a player, right? I should be able to, as a requirement, I just had one more and I forgot it. Okay, I forgot. Sorry?
Pull up their statistics on them.
No, we're not going into the statistics one just yet.
All right.
All right. Oh, I should be able to remove a player from the system. Okay. So let's go with this. So I could calculate outstanding balance for a player, remove a player from the system. Okay. What are some maybe non-functional requirements that I could do? What are some things that that might add value to this scenario here? What are some things that could add value to this scenario here that allow me to that allow me to enhance the system, that allow me to work with the system? Maybe a option that would allow me to view players, by different categories, right? Or by different criteria. Okay, maybe by age or by name in alphabetical order or something, so right? Essentially to list all players. So this is basically to list all players. Okay. Anything else that I might be functional? And let's just get one more non-functional requirement again. Okay. Have the system protected by a password. So unless we have that password, we can't get into the system, right? And of course, the default password might be something. So how do we do this? It seems like a lot. It's not that much actually, right? We have basic add, edit. We have delete from the system. We have search. We have the ability to, let me not say add a payment for a player, but let me use the word record. Okay. Record a payment for a player. Well, now that we know what we want the system to do from a functional and a non-functional perspective, right? A functional and a non-functional perspective, then another non-functional perspective could be thing that we could have is to output all outstanding payments to a file, right? Outstanding payments to a file. All right. We have to start thinking about this system from, what is this system going to need? What information we're going to put in about a player? What information we're going to put in, in terms of payment? How are we going to store this information? Right? How are we going to store this information? So, how do we keep information about a player? We want to keep that in a file because we want that information to be persistent, right? We want to be able to, again, edit the player information. How do we record payments? Well, the payments for a player might be in a separate file. So this system, this SBA that we're doing, it will have to read two files. One file with all the player information and one file with all the payment information. Okay? And we can, you know, based upon the date, calculate the outstanding balance for a player or something so. But let's focus on, you know, let's not jump ahead of ourselves. We know what we want to do, but we have to start somewhere. Where I suggest we start is by creating the menu for this. Okay? Where I suggest we start is by creating the menu for this. So when we go into our code blocks. All right, so we can name this file SBA_example.c. And we start off humbly with our include stdio.h. lib.h int main turn 0. And the easiest and best thing to do, and the way that you could get around only having to write 4 functions, is to have a function that is specifically for a menu. So we say void menu. The menu function doesn't really have to take in anything. We could say while 1. What am I doing here? This is an infinite loop. Infinite loop because we will escape the menu via, escape the program via menu. Okay? And we call menu. We have a nice a menu there, a menu program there. So we say void menu, and we have a function down here that will give us our menu, and we say printf. What do we want to print? We want to say welcome to the football player record system. Okay, slash it. Gonna make some empty printfs and copy and paste it so that we know, because we know that we'll have a couple of things. What do you want to do? You want to add, so the first option would be to add a player to record information on. All right. The second thing will be to edit an existing player's details. Third thing would be view payments for a particular player. And what was anything else that we had inside of here? Right. We want to generate our outstanding balance. Right. So fourth, see all outstanding balances for the player. All right. And so these are your options here. And the last option, of course, should be to exit the system. Okay. And so for us to see this menu and to be able to get in and get out of this menu, we need to have int OPT, which will be the variable that allows us to select a menu option. We have a variable that allows us to select a menu option. So down here, we scanf, %d, %opt. For our option, we say get char because we like to clean up after our scanf. So this here is going to display the menu, right? Get the user's selection. And then once we get the user selection, we could then use we could use a structure, a switch case structure, switch PT, a case 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 default. All right. 3, 4, 5. And because we have not done anything yet, we could say to do add a player. To do
Sir,
editor player.
can you make like functions for each of these things? So like you could return the number in, okay, what you get the number in option, and then return that to the main function, and then based on that you could pass into the next function by saying options, you know, to get a next option also. I mean function.
I mean, you could, but I don't think a function to simply get a particular value from a menu is necessary. You're getting the each one of these will be functions, you know. So when we call, we'll have an add player function, we'll have an edit player function. But to have a function that pulls a value from a menu display to back to then select the function, that's a little overkill. Follow me? Right? So we could
Yes, sir.
yeah. If you wanted to put the
So,
switch inside a main, that's fine as well, right? And have menu only returning the OPT, that's fine as well too. I mean, I could change it into to do that. I see that as being reasonable. Okay. So if you want to do that, we could do that. We could say int int menu. So we'll have to change menu to return something. We'll have to move OPT, or we'll have to have a separate OPT here, int OPT. And we could say OPT is equal to menu, right? And then we can have this switch case structure here. Right, inside of here. Which is no different from what we were doing. We just have to have this returning an integer, and this could return OPT, so that when you call this menu, the value is returned to here, And then we could choose which other function to go to. Either way is fine. All right, they essentially doing the same thing. It's just one is jumping off to the second function from inside of menu, which is what I was doing originally. But now if you wanted that, it returns the value and then it jumps to the function from main, that's fine as well. Okay, so editor player, the third one is player payments. Next we have view all outstanding and view all outstanding. And the last one, right, which we could do now, if you want to have again another menu, right, you could have void exit message, right? Void exit message, and you call exit message, right? And then you also have or you could name this message actually, and here's a nice thing that you could do, right? You could say message, and you could have a message function that takes in a value. Okay, you have a message function that takes in a value, and depending on the value, it could show a different message. So we have void message, and we'll say if message is equal to 0, right? I just have I here. Printf by, else if message is equal to 1, printf your, sorry, printf goodbye, you have entered an incorrect value. Please retry. Could you all give me 2 minutes, please? I just have to set my daughter up to class. All right, so what we have here is, oh, sorry, not message. Message is not the variable that we have there. So I typed the wrong thing here. Hold a second, please. Yeah, so sorry about that. We would have needed an integer created here. So we could have int m that will take the value that was passed to message, either the 0 or the 1. And we would have to now compare m to the 0 or the 1 to get the value from the message. Because message is a void variable, a void function, it doesn't return any values. So this function returns, displays a different message to the user depending on what was passed to it. Okay? And that's your documentation, your comments that you're supposed to put into your code. All right, so we have if it's 0, it'll print goodbye. If it's 1, it'll print an error message. All right. So getcha and exit 0. So let's see how this runs so far. Why is it not compiling? Okay, right. So we start off and we realize that we needed to have these lines on separate lines. So that's an easy solution. We can put a \n after every line. All right. And maybe you want a line that says printf, please make your selection. All right, so that it's a little more user friendly. So if we run it, all right, if we run it, put a semicolon there. Okay. All right, I have a misspelling here that I have to fix. But let's see if we select 5. We get the message goodbye and it exits. If I make the selection something that is outside of 1 to 5, which is outside of the cases that I have accommodated for, I should get, let's say 8. It tells me you have entered an incorrect value. Okay, please retry. So maybe I need to put a getcha after this as well to pause output. And I could fix the word balances. And so now if I do the same thing, 9, you have entered an incorrect value. Please retry. All right, if I have 1, nothing happens because I don't have any code saying to do anything for 1. If I have minus 1, right, same thing. If I say 5, I can exit the system. Okay. So what if I wanted to clear the screen every time the menu got called? I could use something called system. And I think it's CLS for clear screen, which sends
Yeah,
a system command. Huh?
I think it's system class.
Clear.
Yeah, just
Let me try.
system class.
System. Hold on, I have an error somewhere here. Message int M. Conflicting types of message. Why am I getting a build error here? Message. Oh, sorry. Yes. All right. Let me see. 9. No, it's CLS. It's CLS. All right, for clear screen. So that way, every time I call the menu, right? Every time I call the menu, I want it, right? Or the screen should be cleared prior to displaying the contents of the menu. I expect to see statements like this throughout your program, okay? And look at that, we already have 2 functions. We already have 2 functions inside of our loop. Any questions so far? Any questions by anybody? Anybody don't know what we're doing? Not sure?
So,
Don't understand?
yeah, no?
Yes, John Michael, yeah.
The point to the while loop. What was it for again?
Just this one here?
Yeah.
Right, because menu has the ability to make a selection and exit, we purposely made an infinite loop. So this loop, it will always be looping. And the only way to stop this loop is to exit the program. We don't want any other way to stop this loop. So that's why we put in a clause here that will always be positive.
Right, so
No problem. All right, again, I'm going to give us 10 minutes. I'm going to give us 10 minutes. As a little break, we will work until, we'll come back at 9:15. We'll work until 10 o'clock, where we'll take 10 minutes again, and then we'll go until the end of the class. Okay?